we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly.
As you guys know, we are less than a month away from the actual day of the presidential election. And so many people are preparing themselves, preparing their hearts to make the right choice that is good for their situation. And so doing that, there are many of black people, and particularly black men, who are situating themselves to vote for Trump and not for Kamala. And so in that, this has been a bit of a problem for the Kamala campaign, and they have been struggling, attempting to try to wrangle in the black vote, and particularly black male vote. And so this has caused a sort of a stranglehold, if you will, or frustration within the Kamala campaign. And so as she would naturally do, she begins to reach out to individuals who may have had strong influence on the black community, and more specifically the black men in the black community. And so one of those individuals is Barack Obama. And so what has happened recently, Barack Obama, should I say, Barack Obama has went and called himself conversing or talking to a group of black men and chastising them and saying there is no excuse to not vote for Kamala. And in so doing so, obviously he was ramping and ranting concerning Trump, but once again, chastising black men and asking why they not vote for Kamala, that there is no excuse to not vote for Kamala, and so forth and so forth, essentially talking to a group of black men as if they are petulant children. And so this is the typical behavior of the Democratic Party and those who affiliate with that when they don't get their way. If you guys know, in past history, the black vote was golden, right? The black vote was almost an absolute every time the presidential election rolled by, right? Black women and black men will vote hand in hand for the Democratic Party at a over 90% clip. And so the black vote, black men and black women vote, was not of concern as it concerned the Democratic Party. But we seem to be seeing a different trend this time around, and where a large portion of the black community is beginning to see the light, if you will. They're beginning to understand what's at stake here, and that the Democratic Party is not in favor of what their particular situations call for, right? The Democratic Party is not about family. They are definitely for situations that do not promote family, and definitely don't promote black family more specifically. And so once again, Barack Obama has called himself to step in and begin to try to wrangle in the black men. And so he was talking to them as if they were petulant children. And so let's check out the video footage of what Barack Obama said to these group of black men.
I'm going to go ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind. Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running.
Yeah, so you got to remember that the Democratic Party was attempting to try to promote Kamala as some female version of Obama. And the very fact that the enthusiasm and the turnout is not as great as it was under Obama, when Obama went for president within the black community, that is disappointing. And that is a problem for them, because once again, they relied heavily on the black vote. And they said, well, you know, the black vote was always one of the group of votes that the Democratic Party didn't really worry about. They didn't worry about losing the black vote, because that was always something they already had. Right. And so they didn't really have to campaign and really put a lot of energy forth into encouraging the black community to vote, because that was something they already had. But this time around, it seems to be different, right? It's different. Black men are not just bowing the knee to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The black man is not going to vote for Kamala based off of her color or her ethnicity or her race, her claiming to be a black woman. No, that is changing, and I'm thankful that is changing. And so I think black men are starting to understand that they do have the freedom of thought. They do have the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to vote who I feel is the best candidate. And no longer will I allow my other black folks, people who share the same culture as me, to downplay me or ridicule me because I vote the way I want to vote. I'm not afraid to stand on my own 2 feet no more. I'm not afraid to go against the grain. I'm no longer worried about being called all kind of racial slurs or kind of derogatory terms because of the way I vote. And so this is what Obama is referring to, that the enthusiasm is not there anymore. And thank God it isn't. We have the ability to vote who we want to vote based off of what we feel is the best vote. And there's no shame in that.
Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences.
Like, this is Obama gaslighting big time. He's attempted to say that Kamala shares the same background, the same understanding, the same struggle. No, she don't. She grew up as an Indian, right? She grew up in the Indian culture. She don't understand the struggle of the black community, the poverty levels of the black community. She don't understand any of that. Right? She might have grew up in Oakland, but still she doesn't understand that because she grew up in a culture that is not, she grew up in an Indian culture, right? She was raised by her mother. So about the only thing she understands is being raised by a single mother. Obviously that's something that's predominant in the black community, but outside of that, she really doesn't understand, right? She doesn't understand. And so Barack Obama is just gaslighting. He is definitely not telling the full truth of what's going on here. And I just simply don't like the way that he is infiltrating this room and talking to a group of black men as if they are passionate children, as if they don't have the right to make their own decision. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's completely absurd that he's talking to them in this fashion. Barack Obama has never went into a room with a full of Caucasians, full of Jewish folks, full of other folks to talk to them in this fashion. This is completely absurd. And once again, this is an indication that the Kamala campaign is not going in the direction that he wants it to go. They are not winning. They are not leading in areas that they thought they would clearly win. A lot of the swing states are about even kill. 50-50. And so a lot of these states that they thought they would totally blow out Trump in, they're not doing it. Because I think people are starting to see the light. People are starting to understand, hey, what the Democrats offer is not pro-family. What the Democrat offer is not for the black community. And once again, they don't never speak to the black community in this fashion. Never. It's now that they feel that the black vote is not necessarily going in a way that they want to step into a room and talk to people this way. And that's completely absurd. It's disrespectful. It's dishonoring to the black man to have to be lectured by Barack Obama, who wasn't even an advocate for the black community when he was president. He was more an advocate for the alphabet community, the LGBTQ community, than he was the black community. So for him to step into a room and begin to try to chastise black men for not supporting Kamala, that's completely absurd and is disrespectful to the intellectual capacity of the black man, the ability to make his own decision, which is best for him and his family. So Barack Obama is completely out of line for this. And once again, he doesn't do this to other communities. Why does he feel he needs to do this to the black community? He's completely disrespectful.
He's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land, and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities.
The problem is, Obama, though, is that we actually seen her in action. I can understand you saying these things as if we never seen her in action. You know, people consider giving her a chance as president, but she's actually been in office as the second person in command and played a vital role in a lot of things that have been passed. She has played a position as a tiebreaker in many tight legislations and things that are passed. And so we actually seen her in action. She was the border czar, and she failed at that. So this is not someone we have not seen in action. We've seen her in action, and she failed tremendously. And she's not a good candidate. She would not make a good president. She could barely stand on 2 feet in an interview, let alone sitting in front of someone like Putin, right? Or the guy over in China, I forget his name. But nonetheless, she's not a good candidate, and we've seen her in action. That's why people are understanding, like, no, we don't want to vote for her. And finally, her just being someone of color is not enough to get the vote, right? I think a lot of people voted for Obama simply for that fact, because he was black, you know, and that is not flying anymore. And I'm so happy that is not flying anymore. The black man is starting to look at the real issues and not just the color of one's skin. Good stuff, guys.
From housing to making sure that our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents can afford medicine, and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and are committed to making sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act, so everybody's got health care, and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person.
That is such a lie. That's such a lie. There is no reason to suggest that Trump has showed a lack of care for us as a person. Might I remind everyone that under Trump, we had the best 4 years, right? And who knows how long. Remember, the Democrats are the warmongers, right? They're the ones that love war. Under Trump, we had no wars. The economy was top notch. The employment rate was super good, right? We had a great employment rate, right? And so Obama is gaslighting. He is misleading individuals to think this. He's telling untruths. He's lying, to put it bluntly, in order to try to gaslight and mislead those individuals within in that room, right? And black men more specifically altogether. He's completely misleading everyone in what he's saying. There's no reason to suggest that Trump is trying to get rid of the Health Care Act. Trump had 4 years to get rid of it, and he didn't. But all he wanted to do was make some alterations to it to make it better. He never said that he was getting rid of it. He never did get rid of it. So the whole point is that Obama is once again gaslighting, and he's upset. He's frustrated because Kamala's campaign is not going as well as he suggested or he thought it should go. And so it is what it is, right? It is what it is. And so all in all, hey, we're not worried about it. We're not worried about it. All the swing states where everyone thought that the Democrats were going to just blow Trump out, there is tremendous leads, right? It's more even than what people thought. And obviously, when you look at the polls are always biased towards Democrats. So if you see Kamala with a 1-point lead, the chances are it's actually Trump that's up. but the polls are saying Kamala has a 1-point lead because the polls are biased towards Democrat. It always is. Everybody knows this, right? And so overall, I think Obama is gaslighting, he's misleading people, and he's lying, to put it bluntly. And finally, I am so proud to say that the black community, in particular the black men, are not falling for the okie doke. They're not letting women lead them. They're standing on their own 2 feet and being men and allowing their intellect to guide, to give them understanding of what they should do. And no longer will they allow women to lead. And that just simply is the best way to approach it. Obviously, she may have the women vote, the black women vote, but she does not have the man vote, the black man vote, and that's important. That's extremely important, that they don't have that vote. And I'm so glad to see my community, the black community, standing up and not allowing guys like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris to gaslight them and to mislead them into doing something they know is not best for them and their family. So overall, if you appreciate this video, thank you for watching. And once again, if you appreciate this video, make sure you subscribe to Freedom of Black Thought. And I hope that you will click on other videos to check those out as well. All right, take care. God bless.